So welcome everybody to our discussion today that is titled Education in the Time of COVID. What have we learned and where do opportunities lie for us to learn moving forward? Julie is a teacher at a large suburban public school district. She teaches in the secondary level and she works with young adults with exceptional needs. And Cam is the director of operations at a public charter school in Rochester, New York. So thank you both for coming. I'm really excited because today I can't wait to hear about the differences in your perspectives of what it has been like to be an educator in public, really pre-K through 12 education, and to hear kind of about from your experiences, and then to also maybe just open up a dialogue between the two of you in which you can kind of like bounce ideas off of each other, look for commonalities as well. Maybe we can find some current themes that we're experiencing in education right now. Could you describe for our viewers what the current environment in your schools is like for students, for your staff, for the faculty and staff, and the leaders in the schools, and then also for families?
In my district, we decided to take a hybrid model. So our students, especially students with special needs, have been able to come 4 days a week. And then Wednesday is their hybrid learning day. So from the students that I work with, I think that it's great that they're back in their routines. I work with students with severe developmental disabilities predominantly. I am the work-based learning teacher right now, but where I go to work every day is pretty much with the students with our higher level of need. And they seem to be fine. They seem to have gotten right back in the routine. I'm very pleased with the fact that they have adapted well to having to wear a mask every day, which a lot of us thought would be an issue, and it's really not. Some reminders here and there, but so does the staff need a lot of reminders about their mask. So I think they're doing well. I think families are maybe struggling obviously a lot more. Believe it or not, our students have come back like refreshed and ready to learn, and behaviors that they had pre-COVID or pre-closure have disappeared with some of our students that were really struggling. Our students that before the closure had anxiety issues came back and are willing to participate and come through. And even during the closure, when I had them through Google Meet Classroom, were talking and participatory. So what I think, I'm not sure how parents are dealing with it, because I'm sure that's a huge struggle for them, having to change schedules and all that. But from my perspective as a teacher and seeing my students, they seem to have adapted a lot better than we thought they would. I wanted to add another stress level to parents is the inundation of emails from everyone, because now that's how we're communicating. Mm-hmm. And parents are getting emails and links from about 5 different classes. They're getting confused. They have different schedules, especially if they're remote, and making sure that they hit the right link for the right class. And I know that's been a struggle for parents.
We're 5 through 8.
Okay.
So our 5th graders are new to the building, new to the environment. Yeah. And I can only imagine how that would feel from their perspective specifically, or from your parents' perspective. You're basically, giving them to a new school, a new building with new expectations. I think in general, we've noticed that that's been an interesting time. I've had previous experience working in middle school in this exact same building. And we know that parents normally bring their children in and they're worried about that transition. And I think this year just magnifies that. And then even the existing 6th through 8th graders who, we know them, they know us. This is like brand new. So they're learning all over again. It's been fun,
kind of
I'll say
all
that.
on the same playing field, right? Everybody's new to the game together, including the educators.
So at my school, we basically have just rolled out hybrid instruction. We're like 2 weeks in. We were remote for the early portion of the school year, which gave us some time to just adjust to different health and safety standards and really prepare a thoughtful rollout. What we notice right now, we have about 50% of our students attending in school. They're alternating 2 days a week. And then we have the other 50% hanging on remotely, and they're either achieving like 2 days of synchronous learning with 2 days asynchronous, or we're trying to make sure they're actually attending right now, which is something we can talk about a little later. Yeah. We do have 4-day-a-week support for our special education students. So we do see a decent portion of our school coming in 4 days a week, and we find that that's been very helpful. I would say as we look at staff, students, and families specifically, the staff that I work with have been great about going with the flow. They've pretty much stayed positive, and for the most part, they've followed these new, different health and safety guidelines. Most of what we're doing now is driven by health and safety guidelines first, content second. So we're very appreciative of that. Similar to Julie, I think the students have really done a great job of adjusting to this process. The ones that are in the school have really taken on the challenge of new procedures, and we're very strict on our systems and routines, or firm on our systems and routines. And I think that the students who have been around for a while, they know our traditional systems and routines, and now they've had to learn new ones for rejoining our building. Those that are remote and active, they're displaying a lot of grit and resilience, because this is definitely crazy times and they've stuck with it. So we appreciate them for that. And then families are certainly working double time, especially dependent on how familiar they are with the existing technologies, how involved they have been in the school process up to this point. It can be a big challenge, but we're always thankful to see that families are really concerned about their students or their children being successful.
I now have to create a Google form. I now have to find videos to provide that visual. I have to come up with slide presentations, as I feel a video may need a little bit more explanation, but all that takes multiple hours. Paperwork has increased because supervisors need a little bit more documentation. They have also changed our grading system this year, which is like, throw more stuff on us. So it's just continuous change. The stress is definitely there. They have given us Wednesdays as a day to give us that time to plan. But they're also filling them up with many meetings. So we're not really getting as much time as we had hoped for this extra planning. So a lot of it's being taken home. Right now, because of the hybrid learning setting, what I used to do pre-COVID was I had a classroom 1 day a week where the other 4 days they went out in the community. And then I kind of came back and we worked out any kind of struggles they may be having out in the community. This year, that would have taken another day away from them. They're already sort of, even though they have Wednesday as an option to work because it's in the community, not in the school, a lot of them have not taken advantage of that. So our supervisor decided to have me go out directly to the sites to work with the students and work with the job coaches and help them solve any kind of issues right there, which I have been enjoying immensely. It's just great. I get to work right with the students, right next to them, seeing what's going on, and I have been more than impressed. So they're just wonderful.
For me, being an administrator, we're working nonstop, just always thinking about different contingencies, wanting to stay as current as possible and up to date on health and safety standards, different reporting, the nature of my job has changed so much, where it really just focuses primarily on making sure that risk management is intact. And then all the other duties that, are required, we still have to implement those, but health and safety has taken over, and it should right now.
If you both could talk a little bit to what that home and school partnership currently looks like. So you started to touch base a little bit on the inundation of technical communication and parents having to navigate that. But if you could each talk a little bit more about not only just like the school holistically in connection to families, but even what you know about teacher and individual family contacts and what that's been like.
I think that for me, family relationships, community partnerships, it's always something that's in the forefront of my mind, just based on, my experience and track record, and then from an operations lens, a lot of the communication and just the different logistics are things that we're responsible for. So we have to try to put ourselves in the shoes of the families and be that bridge between instruction and general family operations or family lifestyles. I would say it's been a work in progress since the pandemic. And I think like a piece of it is just that as a school, we've been forced to make decisions on the fly because health and safety policies are changing. What we know about this pandemic and day-to-day life is changing so frequently. It's not a perfect situation by any means. And I think that by association, families are then suffering because they're receiving information at shorter notices, and they have to really learn how to navigate things that they weren't doing before. So I think that trying to support that change has been something that we tried to be very conscientious of, but it hasn't been perfect by any means. Like there's definitely been some mistakes and some growing pains. There's confusion across the board because, staff are also learning new platforms, and maybe they have experience with things like Zoom or, Google Classroom or whatever it is, but the way that it has to be utilized now is just so much different. And there's been a big learning curve. But I think that, the good thing about it is that over time things get better, and we've already noticed some improvement. And what I found that could be very successful is the opportunities for families and schools just to have those honest dialogues about the things that aren't working well, and be able to give like that clear, constructive feedback on how things can improve. So from our perspective as a school, some of the things that we've tried to just drill down and communicate is just the importance of like, having an email now where maybe that didn't have to be a go-to thing before, or any of our platforms that we operate on, making sure that they're accessible via cell phone for someone, doubling down with mail, just kind of exhausting our communication avenues because we do want to be sensitive to what's necessary, but also just kind of let families know that this is what we need and will need given the circumstances now.